Welcome to the Shoulder Strikes MMA Podcast.
Let's get right into it, Ty. It's very rare that we have two, top of the card fights that are this close in odds-wise. Usually, if we would have kept the original fight, it would have been, Stipe at a plus 290, 300 on one of these websites to a minus 375, 400. This one, we'll start just with Alex Pereira and Jiri Prochazka. We got plus 105 for Jiri to a favorite, a slight favorite to Alex Pereira at a minus 122, 125. This fight's very, very interesting. I think, obviously, Alex is going to have I believe is actually how you say it, but
Alex
Pereira.
Pereira. You gotta it's hard to do. It's Pereira.
Poeton to anybody who really knows the man. Listen, Jiri is going to, I imagine, try and take him to the ground. That's what it sounded like. Yuri's not the kind of guy that's really going to hide his game plan or anything like that. He'll kind of just tell you what he thinks and what his plan is or what he's going to do. I don't know. When you have fights like this that are right down the middle, it is hard to make a solid decision where you're like, oh, I feel really good about this on either side. I just like Pereira, man. I like his game. I think his takedown defense is good. I think his grappling from the back is good enough. And I don't think Jiri is going to be a Curtis Blades-esque wrestler or somebody like John Jones who's going to be able to just lay on top of him and kind of just smother him and get a finish from being on top. It's just not something we've seen from Jiri, especially since he's joined the UFC. It's kind of been all just wild, crazy fights since he's joined. He's really an unorthodox striker, and he held his own against Glover, but that was a war. It took him till the very end, and there was opportunities where he got hurt on the feet, and he was getting taken down. He was getting back up, but it's been a lot of just wildness. Just only 3 fights in the UFC: the Volkan fight, the Dominic Reyes fight. It was just all kind of just hell on wheels, and as soon as it started, it was just wild. So you really just don't know if he's going to kind of hone it in here and maybe fight a more high IQ, kind of condensed version of himself, but I'm not going to count on that. I think Pereira is going to hurt him at some point, and I think he's going to get him out of there. But I'd like to hear what you have to say, honestly.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Pereira has double the amount of UFC fights that Jiri has. Just kind of crazy to think about. The thing with me with Alex, I feel like nobody really loved how he looked in his debut at light heavyweight, but I think he might have needed some time to kind of adjust. I know he's naturally bigger, but
that was fresh off getting knocked out. It was 3 months removed from getting flatlined.
Very quick bounce back, and a lot of people are saying, well, a lot of people think he lost. I'm like, yeah, I guess, but I think he won round 2 and 3. It was close. It was very close, but obviously, I think Alex has been very lucky in his matchmaking and his just UFC run, right? He's gotten very favorable matchmaking, and they've kind of rushed him to the top, but he's also just kind of gotten lucky, right? He kind of just moved into this 205 title chance largely because Magomed Ankalaev keeps fumbling the bag. Every time he fights, he just keeps doing something. He gets into a draw with Blachowicz, was a terrible look. Last fight was an even worse look against Johnny Walker.
Yeah.
So, he kind of blew his chance. Jiri got hurt. Jamal Hill got hurt. So Alex Pereira just slides right on in. And honestly, nobody's mad. Nobody's going to complain about it. But it's a tough test. I feel like we're not going to see anybody really hold this belt. Even Jamal Hill, when he comes back, it's going to be tough because that injury he had was bad. He's not the youngest fighter in the world. Ankalaev ideally would be the guy who, kind of holds down the division. But obviously, again, we've seen he's not really capable of being consistent in his all-around game. So I think the shoulder injury really, really throws me off. I mean, he came back. Did he come back quick from it, or just regular time? Maybe.
I'd say it was regular. I think I don't remember exactly when the injury itself was sustained, but he had a fight scheduled, right? Was he supposed to fight Jamal Hill, or was it he was supposed to fight Glover again? Yeah, he was supposed to fight Glover again in December
last year,
and
then that's when he got hurt. So I guess
so I would
it's been a
assume
year?
it's about a year. Yeah, so I mean, I imagine he's probably good to go, but it might. I mean, the way they made it sound like he instantly gave the belt up, which was the samurai thing to do. You wouldn't want to sit on a belt if you're a samurai. You want to give that right up, but
yes,
yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask him what the Bushido code on UFC title fights is, but. Yeah,
a year and a half.
I don't like guys coming off injuries. I never do. You never know what when you're betting stuff like that. Having a variable, an unknown, is not something that really makes you feel good.
Yeah, and combining the shoulder injury with his just durability issues, I think Jiri can walk through some shit. I think he can survive bad spots, but he puts himself in too many bad spots. He has serious striking defense and durability issues. He gives up 5.4 significant strikes per minute. He absorbs. That's a huge amount. I mean, he doesn't even land that many more per minute than he absorbs. His takedown accuracy is 100%. He's only 1 of 1, I think, against Dominic Reyes. Also, he just came out and said that he was knocked out against Dominic Reyes from that up kick that he kind of landed on top of him. That's what he said, I believe. So that's kind of crazy that Dominic Reyes pretty much almost had him out like bad twice in that fight, and then he came back and smoked him. He's very active, and I think he has much better cardio here than Alex.
Yeah.
And he has that wild man wrestling and grappling, right? It's just it's not really technical at all, but it works. He makes it work. I mean, he didn't even have a hook in against Glover, and I think he might have tapped him out due to exhaustion. But still, you don't just tap Glover Teixeira out. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, you'd expect him to go to sleep. I mean, Glover Teixeira and Alex Pereira are kind of wrestling each other to the death in a fucking lake somewhere. You're like, what are these guys doing? So, and speaking of Glover, he really has changed Alex's game, I think, all in all. Just as a complete MMA fighter since he worked with him in 2020, I think he moved to Danbury, is that what it's called? Somewhere in Connecticut, the home of Dana White. And
Really?
Yeah, it's really worked. I mean, yeah, he's from CT. I'm pretty sure he claims Vegas, but the Michaelitis fight, he lost a round, went to the second. Then he fought Bruno Silva, went the distance. But ever since then, man, he's just kind of turned it up. And I think what you said about that quick turnaround after the Izzy loss wasn't the best look, and wasn't the best decision. And maybe that's the reason he looked a little uninspiring against Jan. Maybe that's why people thought he did lose some speed and he lost some power. Maybe he was just getting used to this division. Either way, I see he's got elite counters with elite power. Fights with his hands down. He relies on his head movement, but he also keeps his hands out so he can counter. I just think that's going to be huge. I think Jiri is, he blitzes in. He throws a lot of random shit. He throws some looping shit, and he'll jump and spin and do all this. But I think Alex is just going to catch him coming in, and I think he's going to, Jiri is reliant, I guess, on being able to be more durable and to take his best shots and then give his best shots and see if Alex can fold. But I think Alex is going to be the one to fold Jiri. I think Jiri is going down in this fight. The shoulder injury, the 1.5 year layoff. I think mentally they're both strong as can be. It's hard for me to get into either of these guys' minds. They're both fucking scary motherfuckers. But I think that's going to make a perfect match for this fight. I got Alex Pereira money line. Should I go inside the distance? What do you think? What should we do here?
See, I was just looking at it. I don't think there's value in the TKO because I mean, really, it's there. There's a submission possibility, but you're gonna bet that he probably cleans him out and just kind of hurts him on the ground. Inside the distance is plus 100. TKO is around plus 125. So,
Yeah.
I mean, really, if you're getting money line at minus 120. Then why wouldn't you just bet the money line? That's what I'm going to do as well. I'd love to bet like a TKO of some sort or maybe, inside the distance just to kind of get that extra little like juice. But if it was like plus 150, 160, I would be all over it. I just don't think plus 120, 110 is enough. It's not really worth it. So me and Ty are going to be on Pereira money line minus 120.